You might have read the video's title and thought to yourself, what the fuck are you on, schnitches? What is this video on about? I know, but hear me out. WarThunder is basically Team Fortress 2, by quite a margin in fact, and today I will try to explain how so. For your sakes, the video will be split into 3 parts. First is going to cover what the 2 games are, just in case you forgot. Second will be talking about their similarities, and the third will sum things up, and end in a conclusion. Both Team Fortress 2 and WarThunder are recognized staples in their own categories of games, dating back into 2007 and 2012 respectively, both having distinct communities not seen elsewhere across the entire world of gaming. Let's go down the basics for those who don't know about the two, which you're watching this video, of course you know. And if you don't, you should be ashamed and go write a formal apology in the comments now! Team Fortress 2. Who doesn't know of this game? It's a legend, still played by tens of thousands daily, basically having laid the groundwork for all of the hero shooters that are so popular nowadays, funnily outliving most of them too. The game is simple on paper. 2 teams of mercenaries from rival companies, red and blue, are fighting each other over various objectives on various locations, be it a capture point, payload, or an intelligence briefcase, each of which can pick one of the 9 classes to play, these going by small guy with shotgun, soldier guy with rocket launcher, flamethrower, troop and a gas mask, so on. However, you can already guess it's much more complex. Every single of the playable classes being their own character, fitting their looks, stereotypes, weapons, boosted by the game's art style, which is still outstanding almost 20 damn years after release. And of course this initial simplicity, aka prior mentioned quote-unquote small guy with shotgun, soldier guy with rocket launcher, makes a foundation for recognizable and likable characters. You have 100% seen at least one of the Meet the Team cinematics made by Valve in your life.
That's how I lost my medical license.
And well, being the 7-year-old boy I was when I first saw one myself, like many others, I have immediately fell in love with mercs. Scout, soldier, pyro, demo, engineer, heavy, medic, sniper, and spy, every single one has their own playstyle, pool of weapons and tools to choose from, roles in battle, fun subclasses, and also many hands-on cosmetics. This variability, amount of situations you can be in, coupled with the maps, the players, the mechanics, the source engine, all of it is mwah, chef's kiss. Still one of the best experiences in online PvP genre. Fight me on it. And what do you know, the game also features a PvE mode too. So not only can you waste away countless hours in pubs, you can also waste away your cash in MVM praying to God to get an Australian that isn't a bloodsucker or force of nature on their 25th tour of 2 cities. Interesting enough, Team Fortress 2 was among the very first games I've played ever, standing right next to the first, second and the episodes of Half-Life, both Portals and the original Stalker trilogy. I was around 6 at the time, playing on an old Asus laptop that had to be constantly connected to the power supply, hardly ran the game, and the thing itself was pirated, which meant I could only play online. And what do you know, it was a blast, so much so that the game has stuck around through my entire life, so far at least. WarThunder is an online MMO military game that is all about realism and being down to the ground. Every day, hundreds of thousands of players log in to play matches, be they on land, with tanks, air, with planes and helicopters, or water, with large ships or coastal vessels. We don't talk about naval guys. There's truly nothing like it in the gaming world, which means that even if you don't like the game, you'll still be playing it. With over 2,000 vehicles to choose from, if it so happens that you even slightly enjoy the game, you will learn the true definition of addiction, with a never-ending grind that will slowly consume your life. No friends, family, job, home, money, soul, other hobbies, thoughts. Snail, snail, snail. The main way to describe the game is not hard. If you can pull it off in real life, you can pull it off in WarThunder to certain extents. Aerial battles reward players for their ability to track and predict where their shots land, maneuvering in 3D space and constantly keeping an eye out for enemies. Land battles reward you for your positioning skills, yet again, predicting shot trajectories on the fly, and also listening in and finding enemies faster than they find you. Naval is, I don't play naval, but people off of internet said clever words, patience and endurance. Specifically, quote, endurance to put up with your enemy's shit. Patience to wait for your shots to land half a country away. Wow, such clever words. Primarily speaking of ground battles, since that's the direction I've specialized for, WarThunder offers one of the most skill-dependent environments with split-second decision situations appearing immediately after an enemy happens to be in your sights. You traverse the map with a vehicle of your choice. those being light tanks, medium tanks, heavies, MBTs, SPGs, which can split up further into atgm launchers, howitzers or assault guns, SPAs, which again split into gun and missile machines. All of these are armed with different cannons, they have their own shapes, armor thicknesses, internal layouts, engines and transmissions, shell types, and so on and so forth. You can keep yapping for long. Interaction between these machines, both enemy crewed and your teammates, combined with prior mentioned amount of vehicles plus their variety, it creates a game so replayable you kinda just forget about other stuff. Oh, and unlike Team Fortress 2, WarThunder is an MMO, which means there's multiple major updates every year, instead of 2,655 days without an update. Team Fortress 2, what's happening? Anyway, major updates offer new mechanics, more vehicles, quality of life, and rebalances. To think of it, when the game was officially released, the quote-unquote top tier was 7.7 and 8.0. Nowadays we have 12.0 for ground, and I am more than positive we will see 13.0 soon enough due to so needed BR decompression. Two completely different games, right? A silly 16 vs 16 casual game, so 32 players in a match, matches that last on average from 10 to 30 minutes, 9 classes with different weapons, health, and speeds, which can be further subdivided to subclasses, playstyles, on different maps and objectives. And the military 16 vs 16 game, so again 32 players in a match, matches that last on average from 10 to 30 minutes, 5 different ground vehicle classes with different armaments, armors, and speeds, that can be further subdivided into certain subclassifications with different playstyles on different maps and objectives. Huh, sounds a bit matching up, doesn't it? Well, my friend, it does, and over the past month or so these thoughts haven't left my mind. I'm simply too deep into it. I need to share it with someone. Yes, this is not a video, this is a pledge. Pledge to hear me out and tell me that no, I am not mad, and no, I don't need those pills after all. When you play either game for a bit, learn the basics, get a few kills in a match on average, you know, get to the point of not so newbie anymore, you begin to learn about deeper mechanics of both. Team Fortress 2, as any other Source game, has many quirks due to how the engine goes about things. From there you get things such as rocket jumping, shooting rockets at your legs in order to propel yourself into the air, shrimping, charging into a ramp with a shield, in the result being flung up into the air, crouch jumping, heavy jump revving, uber building with a Boston Basher, trick stabbing, taunt cancelling, A-posing, C-tapping, air strafing, pyro flamethrower particles, short circuit jumping, reflect rocket jumping, pogoing, dump pogoing, detonator jumping. There's a lot, alright? But WarThunder doesn't disappoint in stuff that not everybody knows either. Scouting through walls, arting with a recon drone, 101 throttling, or in other words, partially activating afterburners. Resetting G-overload, aka elevator flick, trim control, real shatter, hydraulics, you can friendly fire your squad mates with no penalty. I do not regret saying this one. Instant range finding if you have an LR and a custom sight, battery power, spading vehicles, active protection systems, ESS being see-through for thermal sights, breaking heli propellers with a drone, and the fact that you can make it up onto roofs on various maps. Oh, and whatever the hell people do with a QN506 in a drone. We begin to see a pattern emerging. Both games are built simple in nature, but get complex once you begin to analyze things. Oh, and don't tell me, but schnittes, isn't that how games are supposed to be? You're making far too much sense. Unacceptable. Tisk, tisk, tisk. I say, let's spiral deeper into insanity instead, shall we? The Scout in Team Fortress 2 is a class made to quickly engage an enemy, kill them in swift succession, and then disappear just as fast. The primary thing about this boy from Boston is your ability to pick fights, as well as flank and maneuver like no others can. He's a glass cannon with only 125 health points to boot. If you're not careful, you will be double tapped into oblivion. His standard primary weapon, the scattergun, fully supports the playstyle. In a perfect situation dealing a whopping 105 damage, called a meat shot, and just so you know, the biggest amount of health, not accounting for buffs of course, that you can have is 300 as the heavy. He can kill the heaviest class in the game in 3 shots. A good scout is devastating for the enemy team. He guarantees that no one feels truly safe, the medic is always on the edge, and that the flanks cannot be left unattended, causing ruckus and mischief alike left and right in general. WarThunder presents us with the light tank vehicle class, which in it includes armored cars. These feel a lot like the prior mentioned scout when playing. Of course, unlike in Team Fortress 2, if you're shot here, you are 10 times as likely to blow into bits and bubbles instantaneously. Usually armed with either a cannon or an autocannon, these agile machines have the ability to pick fights, relying on their speed to get into unexpected and sneaky positions early into the game. Again, getting to choose their target, which oftentimes is unsuspecting of a shell soon arriving into their side or rear, rather than brawling head-on like heavier tanks do. Furthermore, in rank 6 and up, light vehicles get a recon drone, which lets them pick off enemies even easier, having a bird's-eye view on the battlefield, and seeing holes in enemy defenses to take advantage of. You get in, you pick someone off, you get out. Simple. Why did I write simpe? I wrote simpe instead of simple. As you can see, the two examples show clear similarities, but trust me, I can continue yapping on for longer for those who aren't convinced. The soldier is a class armed with a rocket launcher. Truly, the most standard concealed carry weapon of a demoted American patriot. The weapon shoots projectiles that explode on impact with any surface it hits, be it a teammate, enemy, or just ground. Players using this class rely on their weapon not only for offense, but also for movement, rocket jumping around the map at high speeds, with soldiers' moving speed on the ground being suboptimal. Of course, as you can guess, unlike the prior mentioned scout with his scattergun, soldier rockets don't instantly reach the target, meaning that you have to predict their movements for a direct hit. What do you know? WarThunder features rockets too, coming in two flavors, unguided and guided. We can experience something quite similar to the soldier with, fittingly, USA's M60A2 Starship and M551 Sheridan. Actually, any early Cyclops ATGM vehicle really. Anyhow, the M60A2 offers an interesting playstyle. Unlike the normal M60s, it has a considerably longer reload time, but instead of a conventional gun, it's mounted with a gun launcher, shooting slow and mean shillelagh missiles and large heat shells, both of which require some predicting in use due to having travel times higher than, say, discarding saber rounds. But boy, if that shell lands, it lands good, just like a rocket from the soldier's rocket launcher. The Demoman is a drunk Scottish one-eyed Cyclops armed with a crippling alcohol addiction and a sword, armed with a grenade launcher. He's the CEO of blowing stuff up. Yet again, the class is based around predicting trajectories, just like WarThunder tanks do. However, unlike in WarThunder, the pipes that Demo shoots don't explode immediately, more akin to airplane bombs. That aside, he's all about damage here and now. Even cooler, since pipes curve, he can indirect fire. Great if you have to deal with, I don't know, a turret. You know what else is the king of indirect fire? Artilleria! Boy oh boy do I love me some 155mm guns, and WarThunder delivers well, with every single nation having arty to choose from. For this video, we'll use the bkan 1C, aka bkan 1C. This beast too fires quickly, 2 makes you think like a drunk demolitions man, and going up against you, less experienced tankers will genuinely start fearing you.
2 kills with a single round, no way!
Like supporting your team more with classes like Engineer or Medic? WarThunder also has that covered. Feel free to get into an armored car or SPAA and help your team repair, or get onto a tank destroyer and build ammo boxes for your shell-starved French autoloader teammates. Or maybe you want some spy action. Load into sim battles, pick an Italian Sherman, paint out the markings with some decals, and watch the unsuspecting buffoons think you're a teammate. Just don't get shot by your own team. Team Fortress is also known for friendlies, players who choose not to engage in battle and instead watch people fight one another from a side. The putties, A-posing players, the observers, spy crabs, whatever it is you meet, it's all extremely silly and unserious. Well, you won't believe it, but WarThunder also has friendlies to a certain extent. If you ever met an L3 in top tier, you know what I mean. There is some sort of strange unwritten rule where if the L3 isn't attacking anyone, it has the rights to be pat and alive. That's another thing. The games allow for self-expression through either chat or quick commands, and alternatively through your characters or tank's motions. Team Fortress 2 has tons, of course. Silly dances, high fives, or gutting someone's intestines out with a robot arm, or shooting someone dead with a finger gun, or playing a rock paper scissors game and the loser dies. It's strange, I know. However, the idea is not at all alien for WarThunder. You can pat or get pat by others with a barrel, sometimes enemies can wiggle their turret, trying to beg not to shoot them, and sometimes the person that is doing the killing will wiggle his gun up and down saying, yes, I will do it. You can kinda dance with your hydraulics, and lace teammates that have a laser warning receiver for the funny. Going back to quick commands, Team Fortress 2 has a whole lot of medic, that spy is an enemy, and put dispenser here. While WarThunder has its own attack the D point, yes, and bravo! I didn't even mention decals in WarThunder and hats in Team Fortress 2, both including a digital market in which players trade items between one another. Which, yet again, goes to show that both games, while different, highly support silliness. Communities of course have their own ups and downs, notably WarThunder is more toxic, however you can still occasionally see the goofiest stuff said on chat. I say it's only fair to compare the two after 6 years of Team Fortress's constant comparison to Overwatch, until the latter died, that is. Of course, at the end of the day, the games aren't the same. You can't really compare an FPS to an MMO. However, for me at least, it's interesting that so many things line up. It probably goes to show how good game design works, and that the same techniques can be applied for different categories of games and still perform great. The entire one precise shot doing lots of damage thing, the teams of 16s with multiple classes, the recognizable characters, damn good music. Both TF2 and WarThunder let a single player go on a total killing spree, dominating the enemy through pure skill and a bit of luck. This independence the player has kinda sets it apart from other multiplayer games of their kind. Makes them special, you know? So, if you're ever asked what game can WarThunder be compared to, say that WarThunder is basically Team Fortress 2. Today's my birthday, by the way, so a comment saying happy birthday would be much appreciated. Yippee!